First Morning MMA Report is now live. I am Peter Johannes. Joined with me is Brian Roker and the pretty boy himself, Jordan Berg, making his First Morning video debut. We're sitting here today. We're going to talk about the stacked Caged Aggression card that's happening March 25th, 26th, and 27th. Tickets are still available on nitrotickets.com. It is a stacked card. Iowa has been, pumping out cards here, and we could not be more excited. I think there's 13 or 14 Wisconsin fighters on the card, and that's awesome. So shout out to Mike Goodwin and the good folks over at Caged Aggression. Brian, what's going on with you?
Not too much. Just happy to go see a live MMA event this past weekend. See a couple of Wisconsin fighters on that, and it was just nice to be out and kind of feel normal for once.
Absolutely. Berg, what's going on in your neck of the woods?
I'm staying busy, and it's kind of cool to see a 3-night event coming up, and like Brian said, see some fights. So
yeah,
badass
for sure. Yeah, this past weekend at Pinnacle, it was Gonzalo Ponce had a great fight against a very tough 50 fight veteran, I believe.
Yep.
Cherry Labai had never looked better. We had the Sensei Jay Fustel. He was in action. And then Ben Schultz with one of the best submissions I've seen in the regional scene in a long time. So it was definitely exciting card. But let's dive into business here. I think this is arguably my favorite card in recent history on the regional scene. I'm really, really excited to see this. Like I said before, it is just stacked. And so Thursday night, the 25th. Rachel Lippert from Fearless MMA is going to be taking on Claire Schneckloth out of Iowa. Rachel Lippert is 4-5, and Claire is 1-3. And I think this is a fantastic fight for Rachel Lippert.
Yep, I would absolutely agree. You look at Rachel's record, and it says 4-5, and that doesn't do that girl justice. If you've seen her fight, she's tough. She keeps it. She's game the whole time, and she's lost to quality people. And she's coming into this fight, able to come off a 3-fight losing streak and get back into the win column. And I really could see her getting her first finish in this fight, and that would be real good for her career, for sure. Because like you said, she's tough,
Yeah, for sure.
And she's just a gamer too. She's always in the gym, always working to get better. So great opportunity for her, and I agree. I think I could see her getting her first stoppage.
Yeah, no, she when the fight came about, there's really no hesitation from the people at Fearless. You talk to Delgado, you talk to Lippert or anybody else, and it's just like, hey, this is the fight. Like, what do you think? And it's not let me watch film. It's not this. It's I'm going to call my boss to see if I can get off on that Friday, and I'll be there. And that's something you appreciate. She's real tough. She's obviously chose a few cards. Has she been on a PRC card? I'm not sure off the top of my head.
I think she might. I think she did fight in the early PRC cards. But what I like about Rachel is you see her fight, and she's like, she just enjoys it. You know what I mean? Like, she's actually in the moment. And it's cool to see people like that. And I hope she kicks some ass, and I think she will.
Yeah, no, for sure. Also on that Thursday night, someone that a lot of people might not know about is a guy named Subhan Umar out of Pura Vida. He is a wrestler out of UW Parkside. And I saw him at his not his debut because it was a pancration fight. Instantly took a mental note of a guy that should be on everybody's radar. He is absolutely the real deal.
I'm gonna have to go with your word on that. I haven't seen him at all, so I'm excited to sit down, kick back, and watch him. Hope we got another rising star on the scene.
Sure.
And you take a look at the camp that he comes from. So, they're not going to put him in, if they don't feel he's ready. But if you take a look at the guy that he's fighting, he is 1-0. So, he has won a fight. And the dude that he fight, I'm pretty sure it was a stoppage win over a guy who had quite a bit of experience. So it'll be interesting to see that matchup, once he actually gets in a full contact MMA fight. And then, he does have strong wrestling. So we'll see if he leans on that and how it goes.
I'm telling you right now, Subhan is going to finish this within 2 rounds.
And I believe you, but it'll be fun to see.
Yeah, for sure. So on Thursday night, there's only 2 fights for Wisconsin fighters. A lot of other amazing fights. I think the main event is going to be amazing. The fight that I think is should be on everyone's radar is Blake Bilder, who has fought in Wisconsin before for Three River Throwdown, is going to be taking on Kane Luger, and that is my early pick for Thursday's fight of the night. So definitely take a look at those ones out there. Moving on to Friday, there's a lot of fights, a lot to talk about. Starting with Jenna Williams, who's 1-1, and she's going to be taking on Olivia Biscow. Brian, what do you think? What's your thoughts on this?
Well, it's going to be interesting. Obviously, Jenna's much longer than Olivia is. But we've seen Jenna fight Charity. I believe she lost to Charity, and obviously she's much taller than Charity too. So, I mean, I think her best route is to just try and keep distance on Olivia and try to not let her get her hands on her. But it should be a good fight. I mean, Jenna's been putting a lot of work in too, and obviously, Olivia, she's always getting work in too. So I think that's going to be an interesting fight to watch. We'll see what happens with it.
Right. And like touch on what you said, Brian, Jenna Williams, she's very long, so that makes it interesting. She has good Brazilian jiu-jitsu from what we have seen. She does compete, I think, fairly regularly. But Olivia Biscow, she's strong. She's a really strong grappler, but I think she's overall a very complete fighter. She's a really good athlete, and she's a lot of fun to watch with a lot of experience. So we'll see, with long woman fighting a compact woman that wants to get in there and make it ugly, and we'll see styles make fights. So
for sure.
Be a good one.
I think Olivia Biscow is the best amateur female in the state.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, really, she's had a lot of good performances, and I can't argue that. She's solid.
I mean, nobody wants to fight her. I've talked to 2 promoters that have had trouble matching her, and they just, for whatever reason, people don't want to take a fight. So, shout out to Jenna Williams for stepping up and taking on a tough challenge. With that being said, you can never sleep on your opponent, and Jenna Williams,
for sure, it's going to be a good fight.
Might surprise everyone. So I'm taking Biscow in that fight. I think she's gonna get it done. But yeah. So moving on, we got Spencer Morgan out of Resurgence MMA. He's taking on Josiah Molina. I think I saw Josiah fought Salvatore Schiro, I think, in his.
He fought Salvas in the last cage aggression fight. I'll take this one. Spencer Morgan, I've worked a little bit personally with the kid, and if that's who he's fighting, and that's the guy he's going up against. Spencer's a tough kid, and he's got, I'm pretty sure, a martial arts background, and he's always in the gym, and he's constantly there with those guys at Resurgence MMA. And like I said, I've worked with him personally, and before he even made his amateur debut, he gave me tough rounds getting ready for fights. So I got no question on that one, but you guys can talk about it a bit.
No. Thanks, Spencer. And he's also one of the nicest kids you'll ever meet too.
Oh, for sure. You would never think he's a fighter. No.
Yeah, I think. I mean, we haven't seen a lot of him, right? His first win was like a 25-second guillotine,
if that.
Quick.
But yeah, like you said, he's always in there, always working, always getting better. I think he's going to make quick work of this fight, but.
And I think it'll be impressive. I don't think it'll be a 25-second guillotine, because this Molina, having a fight, he fought one of the Schiros. Was it Salvatore?
Yeah, it was Sal.
Yeah, yep. And he fought him, and that's a tough dude, and he lasted a bit. He took a little bit of a beating, but he's tough, so he's game. I think we'll really get to see some of Spencer Morgan in this fight. Whether it be 1, 2, 3 rounds, I think he'll put on a good performance, and it'll be fun to watch someone at the amateur level do it with such skill.
No, I agree. I think Spencer Morgan is a real talent. I know I've talked to David Kozleric, Andrew Kozleric over the last few months, and they are just raving about him. I agree with you. I think Spencer's going to get it done. I think he'll get it done quick. So the next fight that I'm super excited, I'm really excited about this fight. The Gabriel Van Der Ley versus Jacoby Helmers. I've said this from the beginning, and I'm sticking with it right now. Gabriel Van Der Ley is a fucking stud, an absolute savage. I think he is going to be one of the next big things to come out of Wisconsin. His jiu-jitsu is just light years ahead of everyone else's age. So super excited to see him fight.
Yeah. Oh, and I'll tell you what, I'll start with Jacoby Helmers, and his one win is via submission. I'll bet you my house and home right now, he does not win this fight via submission. I can promise you that. We all know that, man. You look at Gabe and you look at the level of training that he's got. You know, we don't like, not even to mention his father. Just look at his own accolades, man. This kid is an absolute stud. And in his last fight, he fought a guy that was 7-3 at the time in Quang Lee, who, I mean, in 7-3, that's, you know, that's solid. He trained out of a solid camp, and that was a tough fight. And Gabe was able to come out with a finish in the third round with after like some slick BJJ.
Yeah. Brian?
Well, I think you pretty much covered it. I mean, you know, a kid who's been doing it since he could walk, right? I mean, what else can you say about him? I mean, he's a stud. He's you don't want to get on the ground with him. It's good because, you know, some kids they'd have, you know, 1 or 2 fights with his skill and they'd shoot him pro right away, and they're not shooting him too fast. They're not, you know, they're letting him develop, which is excellent. You know, he comes out of his fights with not a lot of damage most of the time, so he's able to take fights quickly after that and continue to develop, and the sky is the absolute limit for him. Yep. So
I would agree with you, Brian. And what I'm excited to see, like you said, he's young. I think he's only, you know, 18, 19 years old. You know, he's just a kid, and we've only seen the start. And if, you know, his career as he progresses, and I think it'll be exciting to see how he does.
One thing that should be pointed out is, you know, Gabe is now at, you know, Van Der Ley Jiu-Jitsu and Joe Nichols striking. Joe Nichols is a guy that, you know, deserves a ton of credit. He's a great coach. He understands the game. They've also forged a bond with Pure Vita. So I know those guys are going over on Saturday and doing you know, MMA sparring. Some of the guys in Pure Vita are going over there to Van Der Ley Jiu-Jitsu and rolling over there. So he's just going to get better. He's surrounding himself with you know, top level talent, and like you guys said, the sky's the limit for Gabriel Van Der Ley. I don't know how long he's going to stay an amateur. I hope that you know, he's like 19 years old,
yeah,
and so, you know, he's got time to if he wants to take 4 or 5 more fights or on the amateur scene and then go to the professional ranks. That's fine. He could also make that jump after 1 or 2. You just don't know what their process.
Or maybe take it, you know, win this fight, take a year off, or maybe not a year, but some time. And, you know, you never know. Like he's got the luxury of time. That's the big thing with him, is he's got so much time to be able to develop, and that's going to work out for him.
For sure. So Friday night, that finishes the amateur portion of the card. Jumping to the professional portion of the card on Friday, we have Devin Seitz versus Alex Cardenas. And Devin is 1-0. He beat Rodney Alexander in his professional debut, which is no easy task. And so, I mean, this is a tough fight. I'm going to be honest. Like, Cardenas comes from a real good gym at Jackson Wing, but Seitz is a fucking animal, man. Seitz is an animal. So
this is going to be a good fight. I think this could be a sleeper fight of the night kind of fight. Sure. I mean, Devin's tough. He pushes forward. You know, Alex comes from Jackson Link. You know, his striking is going to be on point. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Well, and what I like about this is, like, if you look at the height of Cardenas, I believe he's a fairly tall lightweight. I believe he's about 6 feet tall. You know, and just from pictures of him, he looks like a long guy. So it'll be interesting to see, because Seitz, you know, I do believe he's fought at 45, so he's a little more compact lightweight. So it'll be fun to see, you know, where that fight takes place, if he can get inside and kind of work his game plan. And what I find interesting is Cardenas is 3-1, but I don't think he's beaten anybody that has a professional win. So I want to see where he's at when someone like Seitz, because we've seen him fight, and Seitz is going to be in your face. Even if you are, you know, beating on him, he's going to be right in your face pushing you. So we'll see what Cardenas has, because Seitz is going to be there to fight, and it'll be fun to watch. I like him.
Yeah, they call him a pit bull for a reason.
Devin's a real fighter. You talk to him at an event or you see him online, like, he wants to fight. Nobody's going to break him. His cardio is second to none. He's in your face. He's pushing the action. He's just pressuring you. If Cardenas' gas tank is suspect, I think I think Devin puts it on him. I don't know a whole lot about Cardenas, so I'm really excited to see this because I really love watching Devin sides fight. A side note with him, he may have the best fan base in the state.
Yeah, he's got a very strong fan base, and it was fun to see him. I believe I was there for a Chosen Few event, so it's fun to see what he brings and the people that follow him. So
that place erupts when he fights. When
Yep.
they Chosen Few cards.
So no, definitely pulling for the pit bull on that one. His teammate JT Schulte, we making his long anticipated professional debut. I believe he was supposed to fight or make his debut up north in the inner strength, and then COVID came and shut everything down. JT is got a ton of experience. He's extremely athletic, fantastic wrestling base. He's training at one of the best gyms in the state. I think JT's going to get done. His opponent Brant Cooper, he's also making his debut, but he has 17 or 18 amateur fights. That's a lot of experience. But Schulte's tough. Schulte's real tough.
Yep.
Well, and the little bit I saw about Brant Cooper on the last pay-per-view from Caged Aggression, the most recent version of him, he seemed like a real pressure guy that I don't want to say he's technically great anywhere, but he's solid. He's good all around, and he wants to push the pace. And that plays right into Schulte's hand because he's a wrestler. It doesn't matter. And especially with those guys at Chosen Few, that's what they do is grind. So if that's the fight that Brant Cooper wants, well, I think that's going to be bad, for him. Schulte will oblige that for sure. And I think it'll be exciting. What I like about JT is we've always known he's been a strong wrestler, and he's on, I believe, a 3-fight win streak. And we're seeing him evolve as a martial artist. His patience is getting better. He's not diving in, going crazy with overhand rights. He's being calculated in his strikes, and we're really seeing a nice version of him. And now he's jumping to the pros. So
yeah, he's got a gas tank too. You're talking about Devin with his gas tank. It seems like all the Chosen Few guys, they can go the distance. So.
And at 155, JT Schulte's that's a big man. That's a big man at 155 for sure.
Absolutely. Moving on to the last professional fight of the evening for the Wisconsin fighters, Felipe Martinez-Danas versus Adam Freelove. So Freelove is from California, but he has ties to the Davenport area, so he's going to have a fan base there. Felipe, he also has a fan base. Felipe is coming off his first professional loss. It's always interesting to see how someone bounces back from that. I believe the guys at Ironworks, are the guys to get him in the right, headspace and get him out there and ready for the fight. I'm a huge fan of Felipe. I love his pace. I love his whole style. He can grapple, he can strike, and he's not afraid of a firefight. This is a potential fight of the night, in my opinion, for Friday night.
Well, and anytime you've ever seen Felipe fight, he's a high energy guy. He's got a lot of cardio. He doesn't stop moving. You get dizzy watching a guy like him fight. He's all over the place. I don't know. You look at this and you wonder how someone like Adam Freelove does against Felipe Danas. His one loss is against a quality opponent. You don't ever want to say it's a good loss, but the guy he lost to was a very tough guy. And this guy's making his pro debut. 8-7 amateur record. I haven't seen a lot of them, so I don't want to be judgmental, but I think Felipe is going to be on top of him, and I don't know if he'll deal with that pressure. You'll see a difference in levels.
I think that Felipe, I think this is his opportunity to showcase some of his striking too, because I think that, well, first of all, Freelove is a great last name for somebody who's from California. I just have to say that. But he's got a lot of sub victory. 4 of his wins are from submission. The other 4 are from decision. He's got no TKO wins. And I think that Felipe can actually exploit him a little bit on the feet. And I think that this is his opportunity to show off a little bit of his striking, what they've been working on at Ironworks. So be interesting to see what route they decide to go there.
For sure. I know Felipe is hungry. I know he's been wanting to get back in there ever since his last fight with LFA. So really excited to see him get back in there and do what he does best. Moving on to Saturday night, amateur portion of the card. Wesley Schultz from Pure Vita is fighting Zach Riley. Similar records. Schultz is 5-1. Riley's 4-1. This is a great card. I'm really high on Wesley Schultz. I think Wesley Schultz is a very well-rounded fighter, and I think he's getting better each fight, and that's something that I'd like to see. Super tough. He's got good size. One thing that I think is very important that I see him do a lot is that he listens to his corner, and he's very aware of what's happening in the cage while he's fighting. So he's able to listen to the instruction, bring his opponent in front of his corner, get to work. Really high fight IQ, really high on this guy.
Yeah, well, it's definitely party time. So, you know, I've been to Pure Vita a couple times when they've been having classes, and Wesley he is just always doing something. Yeah. Like I was there one day and they got done with class and he was just doing wind sprints back and forth across the gym. Like he's always doing something, just always working.
And what I've noticed about Wesley Schultz is he's shown it all. Like you said, what I like that you touched on, very well-rounded, because I believe in one of his fights, I don't know which one it was, but I think he submitted like a BJJ brown belt. Correct. Yeah. With an arm bar, and so, I mean, when you see something like that, he has a collegiate wrestling background at lacrosse. So, he's a strong grappler, but when you see someone who can transition wrestling to BJJ like that and submit someone at a high level, that's pretty impressive, especially when he's doing it as an amateur.
Absolutely. No, Schultz is one of the young guns that Pure Vita has. They got, a good fight team building up there, and he's definitely on the next wave of guys that you could see potentially, having a long career and making it to the next level. Now his teammate Jordan Clark, 6-1, is taking on Alex Coover, who's 9-1. This is a fight that I want to watch because I think this is going to show us where Jordan Clark is, and what I mean with that is, I think he is as legit as possible as can get. He's just his game has improved tremendously over the last 2 years. A 9-1 guy as an amateur, that's a tough task, and I want to see how he handles that.
And you look at this, and I don't have anything on my notes other than this is a great matchup and a skill test for both of them. You know what I mean? This is if 2 years from now, this is a fight that you could see, at a very high level in the professional ranks. And both of these guys are absolute studs. What can you say? 6-1, 9-1, and both these guys are solid everywhere. They come from solid camps, and that's going to be a fun fight to watch. That's going to be high level for amateurs. That's for sure.
Yeah, and Clark's just resilient too. You've seen like him get pressured in some of his fights, like the fight with Nick Kazi. First round got over and it was like, oh, we got to fight. Like that was, and he just stuck through it and he was able to work through everything, and he's just resilient. He's not going to be an easy out no matter what happens. So
yeah, you mentioned the Kazi fight. He lost that first round. He got dropped in that first round. He lost it. Came back, Jake and the boys over at Pure Vita got him in the right. I always call it headspace in between rounds, and he was able to come back and win those next 2 rounds and earn a real tough decision. I think this might be his last amateur fight. I could be wrong. I wouldn't be surprised if I saw him take one more, especially maybe a kickboxing match. But this could potentially be the last time we see him fight for free. And I'm always excited for pro debuts.
Well, I'm surprised that this was even a fight for him. I thought after his last one he would turn pro. So yeah, I'm glad because this matchup works out. For the
I can always hope that he sticks around for one more and we see him versus Carlson. Carlson.
Oh, one could wish, Brian.
Maybe we'll see him in the next level, but that'd be an awesome fight.
Carlson versus Jordan Clark would be, in my opinion,
one of the better fights that Wisconsin has ever seen on the amateur level.
For sure. Okay, all right. Well, we're here. Let's talk about that for a second. So let's just hypothetically say that these two meet in their next fight. Who do you like and why?
Brian.
Well, I'm a Garrett Carlson fan. He pokes fun at me for it, but
that's totally not true. He's talking about the Ben Schauer versus Carlson matchup.
Oh,
that was
Pete. That's private. Shut up.
That was a fight that we went back and forth on, and Jordan, you were kind of perhaps the deciding factor on that, but
I wouldn't say I was a deciding factor on anything. You leave me out of this shit. I saw both viewpoints.
That's such a hard fight too, because Ben Shower's he's a fucking stud, man.
Oh yeah.
He was hating on you, Shower.
Later rounds and that kind of stuff. It's so tough to try and pick something, especially in like a hypothetical.
Yes. Yeah. And that's what made it kind of fun too at the same time, because everyone just argued, you know.
So I don't know who I'd pick in that fight between Clark and Garrett.
Well, he just said he's taking Carlson. I'm taking Jordan Clark. So Berg, again, you're going to be the deciding factor here. Let's go.
Oh man, I'll tell you what. I break it down to where they come from, and I mean those guys at Pura Vida are just, they win. They're gonna, you know what I mean. And then you've seen Jordan Clark fight, and he's just gonna win. Like Brian said, he's resilient. So if that matchup were to ever happen, I think it'd be a great fight, and I just think Jordan Clark would be a step ahead, and he would just, you know, I don't want to say inch out a decision, but it would be a tough fight, and it would be a close fight, but I think Clark would win that one. Brian, I'm sorry.
Like a 29-28.
It's a good fight. Either way, it's a real good fight. And hopefully it's something, maybe we get to see it in the pros, or maybe the last amateur fight. But I know Carlson's on the shelf, I think, for a little bit, like rehabbing a knee or something. So so that brings us to the next fight, which is going to be Yemi Copeland versus Thomas Blackerby. So this is a fight that came together, I don't want to say short notice, but Yemi, I think, just found out about the fight 2 weeks ago or whatnot and accepted it. It's a tough fight. Blackerby is a very technical kickboxer that, you know, puts together his combinations really well. I would say he's an elite level striker. He's young. I don't know if he has that, you know, grown man power behind his punches yet, where you think Yemi does. Yemi is a very tough fighter, very well-rounded, more of a striker, athletic freak. And I'm excited to see this one. It's a tough fight for both guys, but it's something that I want to see. And I like to see 0 to 100 get some of the respect that they deserve. I mean, Caged Aggression is in my opinion, the best regional scene promotion in the country and in the Midwest. And it's nice to see guys get shots at those. And 0 to 100 totally deserves to be there.
You know, and you look at Yemi Copeland, and I've only gotten to see him fight one time. And I got to sit cage side and watch him front kick someone right in the jaw and put him to sleep face down. So, I mean, I don't know much about this Blackerby guy, but I know that Yemi Copeland comes in there and he's ready to fight, and I've seen him kill a man. So,
Brian, your thoughts?
This is just one I'm just going to sit back and watch. And I saw that Copeland fight. That was Edgar Soto, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know much about him other than watching that one fight, and I don't know anything about Thomas Blackerby. So this is going to be one that I'm just going to kind of sit back and hopefully learn some new names. So
Blackerby is a stud. He made, I think it was his debut. Yeah, his debut at Caged Aggression, last one, and he put it on his opponent.
What does he do? What does he do?
He's a kickboxing prodigy.
Okay, but like fancy, you know, if he's that fancy style, style boxing.
He's not like Anthony Pettis, flashy, gonna, you know, do something crazy.
He's in your face.
He's in your face. He's technical. He's landing 3-4 punch combos, throwing the head kick. I mean, he's good. He's real good.
And then you're gonna get someone like Copeland who's gonna come in there and he's gonna, you know, like he's gonna go to knock you out. So that'll be a fun one to watch. You know, that'll have some fireworks written all over it.
Yeah, for sure. Then we go to Kevin Messer from Unified versus Caden Harmon. Kevin Messer, in my opinion, is extremely underrated. 7-1 record. I think when we talk about amateurs in the state of Wisconsin, I think he's a guy that is overlooked and doesn't get the respect that he deserves. Not from a skill-wise, just flying under the radar.
And I think, you know, you look at his record and he's 7-1, but I mean, when's the last time he's fought? You know, it's been a while, and if you haven't fought, you know, if people start to kind of forget. But yeah, he's very well rounded. He's a very strong wrestler. A super good he's an athlete, and he's fun to watch, and he likes to be flashy and exciting. So it'll be cool to see him come back and perform.
I know that Unified and 0 to 100 and Primal have been doing some cross training, and I love to see that. Side note, Primal MKE is it Primal MKE or Primal Milwaukee? Primal MKE. Let's just run with it. That is a gym that is going to blow up, in my opinion. They are growing weekly. They have phenomenal coaches. They're growing a great fight team there. I'm real high on Charity Labai. I think she looked fantastic in her last performance, which was just on Saturday night. Obviously, Austin Lutchen, undefeated 3-0. He's got 3 finishes in his pro career. But Primal MKE is a gym that definitely needs to start, showing up on the radar of a lot of people on the Midwest.
All I'll say is Funky Bird seems like someone that I want to be friends with. He just seems like a fun guy to be around, So
the guy has a mullet right now with.
I saw your live video, man. I saw your live video, and the dude, he's always wearing them hippie sandals with some fucking tie dye or some weird shit. Love it. I love it. It's awesome, dude, and he's his own person, and that's great, dude. I would love to be around a guy like that.
Yeah, the Funky Bird's good shit. So I believe that brings us to the professional portion of Saturday night, right?
Yep. Oh, let's get started.
Nelly Thompson out of Pure Vita versus Josh Neal. This is going to be a good fight. Josh Neal is a well-rounded fighter. He's coming off a win. I saw him in his last performance against Andrew Kozleric. Nelly Thompson is coming off of a loss to Frank Schumann. Obviously, there's nothing to be embarrassed about losing to Schumann. Schumann's a longtime veteran, and we'll see how he responds. Jordan,
right? Exactly, and that's just what I was gonna say. And that was a pretty, and it was a pretty nice finish on Schumann's part. There were some nice punches, and Nelly was out, and you always wonder how someone's gonna come back, and after a finish like that. It'll be interesting to see. Nelly comes in. He's a high energy. He's always exciting. He's there to fight. And he's eerily calm. And we'll see how he responds. I'd like to see a little aggression out of the man, though. Like I'd like to see a little anger. And let's see what Nelly can really do.
Yeah, he's always calm, and he's always got a smile on his face too.
I don't like it. Be mad.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he responds in this one. Obviously, like you both touched on the Schumann fight. Sometimes you just get caught, and especially the guy who just throws hard leather like Schumann does. I think Nelly's gonna be okay in this fight. I think it's gonna be kind of a grinding fight, and we'll see who comes out on top in this. I think Nelly can get the job done.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll just sit back and see what happens with that one.
And I think Nelly, like you said, I think he'll get it done. Josh Neal came off of a fairly impressive victory over Andrew Kozlaric. He showed a lot of skill in that fight, and he won a unanimous decision, and he looked solid. But again, Nelly comes from a solid camp, and he's coming off a loss, and he's hungry. He's ready for this. So I think he'll take it.
Yeah, I agree. I think Nelly gets it done. I think Nelly's just. I think he's explosive, but I know what you're saying. He kind of sits back and waits for his opponent to engage, and then he explodes. And that's what he did with Frank. He kind of hung back, and then he exploded and slammed Frank, and then Frank came back and landed some big shots.
Okay. Frank bounced off the mat like a trampoline. If you were there, like he was a big slam, but Nelly didn't really come down on top of him. So Frank did a handspring off the mat pretty much and landed on his feet. It was like, oh, that was cool, but here we are.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm excited for that fight. Nelly's a really good guy just to talk to. He's really knowledgeable just in many different aspects. You can hold conversations with him. He's a fantastic guy. But that brings us to the fight that I want to talk about.
Hold the phone.
Got a wild card going on here?
Here we go.
All right.
Oh yeah, okay.
Eye is empty.
You forgot your funnel and hose.
I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it for the vine.
So this brings us to the fight that I wanted to talk about more than any of the fights on the card.
And I'm so glad they made this the Saturday main event, man. I am so glad this is the feature bout of the whole thing.
I agree. You have Dante Schiro out of Chosen Few, 7-2, defending his welterweight cage aggression title against Kenny Robertson, who's 15-5, multiple-time UFC veteran. I think his last fight 9 times. His last 9 fights, right?
Yeah. Well, no, I think there was, if you look at his UFC, I was just doing my research, and if you look at his UFC debut, he fought that, and then there was 1 fight that was out of there, but then, so his last 8 fights have been in the UFC, but he has not fought since 2016. Now, are we going to see a 2016 Kenny Robertson? You know what I mean? Like, and you never know. That's a long layoff, man. And then you come against a guy like Dante Schiro, who's, I don't know, he's just a stud, and he's an absolute monster. And if you look at his record, 7-2, I mean, his fight in ONE FC, the way they do the scoring, I had him winning that fight, and I think it was a split decision against a hometown guy. So
yeah,
fuck that. He won that fight for sure. So we're gonna see, and that's gonna be such a fun fight because Kenny Robertson, you don't forget how to fight. We'll just see if he remembers how to fight at that level.
Right.
Yeah. Dante's just a stud. You're talking about the one fight. This kid flew halfway around the world on like 2 weeks' notice.
Like 11 days, not 9 days notice.
Yeah, I mean, and he gave that guy the fight of his life. So I mean, what else can you say? I think it was really bogus how they, how ONE treated him after that fight. But he lived to fight another day, and maybe it's a blessing in disguise. And I'd really love to see him win this fight and then get like a contender series fight, to be honest.
Straight to the UFC. Straight to the UFC. Give
awesome.
It to
that too. So you mentioned his loss in ONE, which was a split decision loss. His loss to Jesse Erholland in, where was that, Finland or something like that?
Yeah,
was controversial. I think the commentators after the fight had thought that Schiro had won. It was a close fight. 8-2. So let's just talk about records here. Like, if Dante gets to 8-2, right? I mean, he's on that record where it's, I'm going to go to the contender series. I'm going to go to the UFC on a short notice, call up. He can go to Bellator. He can go to, PFL, follow Gilpin and them there. I think Dante Schiro deserves to be in the UFC. I want to see him in the UFC. And I think that listen, he might have the highest ceiling of anyone at that gym, and that is saying a lot.
And that's the thing about Chosen Few. You look at that gym, and what I like about them is there are so many different outlets that they have their fighters in. You know what I mean? Like, it's just going to show that you don't necessarily need to be in the big show to make some money. You know what I mean? And like their show, they got their fighters in PFL. They've gotten them in ONE FC. They got them in Bellator, LFA. They have them in all the major organized UFC. You know what I mean? They had them in the UFC. So they've got guys in every major organization, and I'm interested to see if Dante wins where he goes, because they don't stray away from some real fights. Those guys at Chosen Few, they're tough and scary.
Well, if you look at the fights that they fought recently, I will say this: I think there's a lot of people that wouldn't take this fight. 15-5, and you're 7-2, and you're like, hey, I'm on the cusp of getting a call up.
I disagree, because you look at this and you look at someone, you look at his opponent, and it's been a long time, man. 5 years in the sport, you guys know that's an eternity. That's forever, man. You forget what competition is like, and I'm just interested to see, has he been in the gym training, the whole time, or did he just come back recently and decide he wants to make a run at something, and if that's the case, I think Schiro's, I don't want to say run through him, but I think you're going to see Schiro and everyone's going to be like, damn, okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, 15-5 is a record where if you you win 2 or 3 fights, you can get called back up. You know, it's a great record. Right now, I just think it's Dante's time. I think Dante is special. I think there's a lot of fighters that have the ability to win big fights, and then there's fighters that have the ability to make it to the very top, the very, you know, the Bellators and the UFCs, and Dante is definitely one of those fighters. Like I said, that gym, they got Mark Lemminger, Polizzi, Gilpin, like real guys. And Dante, in my opinion, may have the highest ceiling out of all of them.
And what I like about Dante is, like, I feel like every fight's the same fight. You know what I mean? Like he treats it the same. You know, it's no different, and it's just another day at the office. And
yeah,
he's fun to watch.
He's always so calm.
Yeah.
Before the fight starts, he's just walks. I mean, he's so calm looking.
And that's after getting slapped in the face like 3 times from Dana.
Because that's what those guys at Chosen Few do. They're crazy, man. They're crazy.
So, I mean, really exciting card. I mean, like I said, shout out to Mike Goodwin. 3 nights.
Big shout out.
I mean, this is just fantastic. And these are just the fighters from Wisconsin. There's so many other fights on these cards that are just, you know, phenomenal talent-wise. I don't think I've ever looked forward to a card more on the regional scene in my life. And I'm really, really excited. With that, my final prediction of the night, I'm taking Dante Schiro by submission. And I am predicting that he goes somewhere else after this. And I'm really hoping for him. I'm really hoping it's UFC.
Yeah, and I would agree. I think at some point he's going to grab his neck. I don't know. That's, you know, a guillotine somewhere, somehow. Sure. You know what I mean? And that's how it'll finish. First, second, third, fourth, fifth. He'll grab his neck.
Yeah, I agree.
So as I said before, this is Caged Aggression Triple Threat. Tickets are still available at www.nitrotickets.com. You know, show up and support. And I can't stress that enough. As I've talked to a lot of promoters over the last 6 months, and it really is right now a game of, you know, if your fighter, if the person you're supporting is selling pay-per-views, they're selling tickets, those are the guys that are going to get, you know, called back and say, hey, you want to, you know, fight on the next card. And that's really important, especially during COVID, where 25% capacity, fights are limited. Definitely show up, show some support. And yeah, we'll be the first morning crew will be there. He won't. Pretty Boy and I will be there. Yeah. And we'll do our thing. So
we'll put the link to the tickets down below the video
for sure.
So it's easy to click.
And if you like what we're doing, we got
doing some marketing, PD.
Dude, we got first morning hoodies. Phenomenal. This is actually Berg's. I've had to give it to him for like 2 months, but haven't seen them in a while. But these are fantastic quality. We got them online. Just not online. Just message me and message broker, message the site. And yeah, we'll get them out to you. We really appreciate the support. We love doing this. This is more than a hobby for us. It's kind of a sick obsession. And yeah, so thanks for tuning in.
Hey.
Brian, Jordan, anything you want to say?
Yeah, there's a lot I want to say, but I'll cut it short and sweet. So Keegan the vegan, eat a steak one time and let's meet at 170 pounds.
Wow, Jordan Berg calling out
Let's
Keegan Genrich.
Yeah, him.
There's a card coming up.
I know there is.
Wow, that would be a great fight. I'd love to see it.
Aye.
Brian?
Well, I'd like to see that fight too. But I'm just sitting here. I keep expecting like Zach the Barbarian Otto to burst through the door because the only time I ever drink Modelo is when I'm with him.
Nice.
So miss you, Zach.
But yeah, join us if you're down in Caged Aggression. Join us after party. I'm gonna bring a bunch of cigars, some nice aged whiskey in the room, and you come up and have a shot, talk some fights, do your thing, and we'll go from there. So, yeah.
I got nothing else.
Talk to you folks later.
Peace.